Good afternoon. Reclaiming my time. I am delighted to be here, and I want to thank Jonathan Bueller for the kind introduction. And of course, we all just love Laurie Latham Brandt, and we thank her for her service, but we thank her for her beer also. And then there's my dear friend, the CEO of the Chamber, Donna Duperon, a woman who spends all of her time making sure this is the most active chamber in the state. And it is. She keeps everybody busy. She's on top of all of the issues, and we can count on her to make sure that we all understand what is going on in the business community and how it can be assisted by the Chamber. Another round of applause for Donna. She deserves it. And of course, I'd like to thank the entire Torrance Area Chamber of Commerce for the invitation to address you today. The roles that the chambers of commerce play throughout the country are essential, and I have a great appreciation for all of the chambers in this region. So ladies and gentlemen, I am so pleased to be joined by my friend and colleague, Congressman Ted Lieu, who will also be addressing you today. And I want to thank and recognize all of the elected officials in the room. Give all of the elected officials a big round of applause. We have a whole list of community leaders who are listed here today in my notes. I'm not going to try and call on all of them except to say thank you for your leadership. Thank you for the work that you do in the South Bay. So I'm very honored to be with all of you today. This is a vibrant, diverse, and dynamic, thriving region filled with incredible people, brilliant and hardworking entrepreneurs, businesses that innovate, and local leaders who understand the importance of constantly investing in our communities. We have aerospace companies, a multitude of service industries, import and export businesses, and even microbreweries. And we can attribute a lot of that success to our mayor of the city of Torrance, Pat Fury. Give him a big round of applause. And of course, he certainly would not be successful without the support of his wonderful wife, Terry. Give her a big round of applause also. As I proudly represent this region in Congress, I'm working to support the programs and projects that are important to our communities. At the same time, I've been fighting for public policies that will allow this region to continue to thrive. There's a lot going on in Washington, D.C. right now, as you might well imagine. It's hard to know where to start. I know that there's tremendous uncertainty about the state of affairs in Washington, D.C., and how it will impact our region. There is uncertainty as to whether there will be resolution to several public policy issues that have been long debated. There's also uncertainty as to the effects of recent changes in the tax laws and how the government will deal with the national debt. As you know, a great deal of uncertainty in the past year has been due to a lack of clarity as to the long-term federal funding for programs and projects. It is not only important to federal agencies and federal employees that there be clarity in the long-term funding of programs. It is also important to states and localities as well, as individuals and families depend on those programs and services. A specific area in which I have advocated for a significant federal investment is infrastructure. I'm working hard to expand federal support for infrastructure in communities nationwide. A few months ago, I introduced a legislative package consisting of 2 bills, which will provide $15 billion for over the next 6 years for job creation through investments in our nation's infrastructure. The Transportation Infrastructure for Job Creation Act that I introduced would provide a supplemental appropriation of $7.5 billion over the next 6 years for investments in transportation infrastructure through the U.S. Department of Transportation's popular Tiger Grants program. This bill would provide additional funding for innovative highway and transit projects by local governments and transit agencies like the Torrance Transit and Gardenia's G-Trans. The Drinking Water Infrastructure for Job Creation Act would provide a supplemental appropriation of $7.5 billion over the next 6 years for the Drinking Water State Revolving Funds, which help public water systems finance infrastructure projects in order to replace lead pipes, upgrade water infrastructure, and ensure clean drinking water for American families. A safe, efficient, modern, and accessible transportation system and access to safe, clean drinking water is vital for a healthy environment and a vibrant economy. This is true here in the South Bay and in communities throughout the United States. Let's talk a little bit about Torrance transportation. I'm especially proud of the city of Torrance and its commitment to public transportation. Torrance Transit, the city's municipal transportation agency, has been serving the needs of the South Bay residents for over 75 years. Torrance Transit operates 11 different bus routes and connects with several regional transit hubs and services system-wide. Torrance Transit experiences approximately 3.9 million passenger boardings every year. I've worked closely with Kim Turner, the director of Torrance Transit, to support Torrance Transit's work and make certain that Torrance Transit's priorities receive their fair share of federal, state, and local funding. In fiscal year 2014, I helped Torrance Transit obtain $175,000 for the construction of a compressed natural gas fueling station. This funding was provided by the Mobile Source Air Pollution Reduction Review Committee, which brings together representatives of several local and regional transit agencies. In fiscal year 2016, I helped Torrance Transit obtain $64,000 for the construction of 8 electric vehicle charging stations. The funding was provided by the Southern California Air Quality Management District, and the electric vehicle charging stations will be located at the Torrance Transit Park and Ride Regional Terminal, a strategically located multimodal transit center that will connect several modes of transportation in the South Bay. Furthermore, as a strong supporter of the Transportation Department's Tiger Grants program, I wrote several letters over the past few years supporting Torrance Transit's efforts to obtain federal Tiger funding to support the construction of the Park and Ride Regional Terminal. The Tiger Grants program is a highly competitive federal program that provides financing to local transit agencies for innovative highway and transit projects, and I strongly believe that Torrance Transit's Park and Ride embodies the type of innovative thinking that Tiger was designed to promote. Unfortunately, Torrance Transit was unsuccessful in obtaining a Tiger grant because of the limited federal funding available. Nevertheless, I'm working to expand federal funding for Tiger so that more projects like the Park and Ride will be able to obtain Tiger support in the future. Separately, I've sought support from both the U.S. Department of Transportation and the California Air Resources Board for Torrance Transit's plans to develop its proposed return of the red car trolley service. This zero-emission, all-electric rubber tire trolley service would start and end at the Park and Ride and further expand access to transit service in the South Bay. While not all of these efforts were successful, Torrance Transit is expected to receive more than $16 million in federal support through transportation formula grants for the period between fiscal year 2014 and fiscal year 2018. I mentioned about some other efforts in the Bay Area, Gardena Transportation. I'm very proud to represent the city of Gardena also, which operates G-Trans, formerly known as Gardena Bus Lines. Over the past 4 years, I've written several letters to federal, state, and regional agencies in support of funding for G-Trans priorities, including G-Trans's compressed natural gas fueling facility and maintenance infrastructure, upgrades projects, and its solar energy-powered zero-emission bus transit system project. These projects illustrate the city of Gardena's commitment to transition to a fleet of low-emission, clean energy buses while providing efficient bus service to the South Bay region. Finally, I helped Metro obtain a federal bus and bus facilities grant for $10.5 million to replace about 30 aging diesel buses with new low-emission, clean fuel buses for uses specifically in the South Bay region. A little bit about Torrance water infrastructure. Just learning a lot about Torrance water infrastructure as I learn about beer. Don't ever complain if you have a little hard water, because it's hard water that makes good beer, okay? Water infrastructure is also critical for the South Bay region. The Torrance Municipal Water Department serves more than 100,000 residents and business customers, covering 78% of the city. I supported the city's efforts to serve its municipal water customers by seeking federal funding for the North Torrance Well Field Project, a comprehensive project to design and construct new water infrastructure. Just 2 weeks ago, I sought federal funding for the Torrance Airport Storm Water Infiltration Project, which will be installed at the Torrance Municipal Airport, and the Walnut Storm Water Capture and Groundwater Replenishment Basin Project, which will develop infrastructure to divert stormwater to an above-ground storage basin and increase local water supplies. These 2 funding requests are still pending. Now, I know this doesn't sound sexy, and I know you thought I was going to come and tell you really what was going on behind the scenes in Washington, D.C. However, I want to be a nice girl today. And so I want to tell you about some things that's good for Torrance. We'll talk about Washington at another time. A little bit about what's happening over in Inglewood. Like many of the other cities in this region, Inglewood is flourishing as well. There's exciting news of development projects in Inglewood that will allow that city and the surrounding area to thrive. Most notably, as you know, Inglewood is poised to become home to 3 professional sports teams. The Rams and the Chargers are moving into a new football stadium in Inglewood. The project includes football stadium, retail space, office space, a hotel, and other features that will make a huge impact on the community. For example, since the Rams announced they were moving to Inglewood, the city's median home price increased dramatically from $398,000 in January 2016 to $448,000 in March 2017. The owners of the property where the stadium is being built have estimated that the stadium project could create as many as 40,000 new jobs, counting construction and ongoing operations. The Clippers are also on the verge of a move to Inglewood. Just this Tuesday, February 20th, we learned new details of the Clippers' proposal to build a world-class basketball arena, practice facility, and entertainment center complex in Inglewood. This event would host sports events and concerts and would make a huge impact on the city and the surrounding region. I'm determined to advocate for additional federal investments in our communities and in infrastructure so that additional funding is available